welcome to the LHC, where today we are finally talking about Fire Emblem Three Houses.
We did talk about Fire Emblem Three Houses.
A little bit last week.
Little bit.
But then we ended up sort of filling in the blanks behind our experience of Fire Emblem. And so now you have been playing, as we said right at the beginning, Three Houses, and you've decided to teach, the Blue Lions, yes?
I have. Just before we talk about the actual game, though, I've just realised the logistics of this is going to be annoying now, because we're recording this on the Saturday after the release day of yesterday. So I've played all of yesterday, all of the evening of yesterday. No, it's a Sunday, isn't it? Is it Sunday?
Yeah, this is Sunday.
It's a Sunday. Yeah. So yes, I played all of yesterday and the evening after work on Friday. So I've played it for the 2 days. But that also means that because we recorded the other one and we're going to have to release that first, this isn't going to come out until like 3 weeks after the game's finished, being released. And this is early thoughts. This is going to be really out of date.
Yeah.
But just to be really clear, this is really early thoughts, and I haven't played that much because it's only been out 2 days.
Stuff, isn't it, you said? So this is like thoughts. Well, this is good because we know that the plot is divided in half, kind of, don't we? So. Oh,
you do? I don't. I haven't got to the. I know there's a time skip because I haven't been able to avoid freaking spoilers online.
Exactly. Don't talk about it, but you know that there's a time skip and everything. So.
I unfortunately do, and I'm trying to not to think about it.
It is a pity that you couldn't get away from that, but they friggin' advertised it like that. So.
Oh no, I've avoided the adverts even as well.
Good for you.
I know part of it is going like part 1, and I know there's going to be a part 2, and I'm also aware of like. When I've checked mechanics or something online, people go, oh yeah, in part 2 it's, and I've gone, stop reading. But, yeah. No, so, as I said in the last one, I did talk a bit about it in the last time. At first, I didn't get on with the game. I was playing it on Friday night. At the end of Friday night, I actively was annoyed at it, and it was largely because the game hadn't fit my preconceptions, and in the way that it didn't fit them, it had annoyed me. And actually, my wife recommended I just start it again with my now knowledge of what the game was and just go for it. But I decided I was just going to push through and not do the previous 5 hours I think I did on a Friday night beforehand. So the things... I actually do like it now, just to be clear. I like it a lot. I would like to be playing it now, but instead I have to talk to some idiot about it. Ugh, it's annoying. But I actually still have this literally... Wait, hold on. Where is it? And I'm just going to... So...
Have you got it? Yep, I can hear it.
I'm literally playing it. I was literally playing it during... Wait.
Yes, Your Highness. Please be careful.
See, I was literally playing it when we started this, and I was playing it up until the last second when I had to turn it off to record. But so the things the things that I started with. So I came in sort of expecting a Fire Emblem game in the new style, Awakening of Fates and everything, and I wasn't that disappointed when they let me pick my character's gender, and so both Fates and Awakening did a thing where they said, you are the strategist. You are here to drive the plot somewhat, but other people will take care of a lot of it. And pick your name. You get some influence on your personality, certainly on your backstory, because it doesn't really go into it much.
You get your boon and your bane, and kind of...
You get your boon, you get your bane.
In Fates and Awakening, you can sort of change your appearance a bit as well.
Oh, you can change your appearance quite a lot, in fact. And also, you can pick your secondary class, which will be allowed to be unlocked once you stop being the generic class. And I was like, okay. And usually, they give you the option of being a mage, or being a physical fighter, or being both. And I always do all three. I have one file of physical, one file of magic, and one file of just sort of a hybrid who hits both. And... I really enjoyed that. So I was debating because I thought, well, there's 3 houses. It's easy. I'll do one mage, I'll do one fighter, and I'll do one medium between the two. Jack of all tradesy one. And that's absolutely not what you do or can do. I mean, you kind of can focus on those things, but you're not really given that as an option because you're given your character, and your character has, as all characters do, a list of things that you can do, that you are good at, and things that you are not good at. And you have no control over this whatsoever. Nor do you have any control over your character's appearance or personality or any of it really. And so you just load it up and the game tells you that you have a skill in swords, you have a skill in leadership, you have a skill in brawling. That's the other one. So you get those 3 skills by default. You have weaknesses in a lot of the other areas, and you have a hidden potential in faith, which is healing magic and light magic. And you don't have any choice. That is who your character is. It just is.
Yeah, because I get the feeling this one, even though this is the main character and even though you pick their gender, I think they're more like the old Lord main character. But you just got to pick.
You just don't have any real control over who they are or what they can do. Yeah. You just get given, this is Roy. Roy uses rapiers and swords. If you evolve him to being a lord, he will also get the use of lances. Congratulations, enjoy.
Yeah.
And that's somewhat fine, but it's not what I expected. Like I say, my problem with the game originally was basically due to my expectations. So I was wanting to come in with a very physical fighter, because I have 3 characters I generally use for this, and they've all got their own backstories and personalities, because I tend to use... I'm fairly lazy. I don't make up a new character for every game. I transplant my own templates of characters across games, depending on what I feel is the most appropriately interesting to me for the story, which is why I've got like 10 Skyrim files and things like that. But so the one I decided on for this was my... because I was told I was a mercenary, and so my wife's playing this game as well, and I thought, sometimes when I've bought a new game and I've played obsessively with her in the room, the fact that she's seen me playing it has made her want to play it, or sometimes the fact that she's watched me play it has meant she doesn't feel the need to. And she's a huge fan of Fire Emblem. She's actually been playing Awakening again in the run-up to this release date, just to sort of get, like, because she couldn't wait for the release date, basically.
Wow.
So she just decided to pick up an older one. So I didn't want to do something that was going to destroy her enjoyment of it. So I said, you go first about picking which of the 3 sides you want, and we looked up a bit of information about all 3 of them and which gender you want, and I'll pick the other gender and I'll pick the other sides. And I like having the option to marry the major player if I want to, so I decided I was going to use 2 of my female characters on the 2 male leads, and a female character and a male lead on the female lead's character. And that all seemed to be great, and I was planning on looking forward to it. So it was decided that I was going to go for the Blue Lions, and from what I knew about the Blue Lions, it was like hard decisions and pragmatism about a really good person who's had to do like dark, evil things, and it's been a lot of... and I thought, that is perfect for this template. I like this character. So I was going to go for a swords, axes, brawler, very melee, very physical-based character who was quite stoic and who had this sort of type, and And I had all this in my head, and then I was told, nope, this is what you like. And it actually fairly fit the character I wanted to play, which is fine, but it annoyed me that I was just being given a template that I didn't have any control over. So that sort of got my back up a bit at the beginning as well. And also, so the dialogue at the opening is clunky as hell. It's really, like, my dad is called Exposition Man because he basically stands up to tell me things that I clearly would know. Like, I guess that's the life of being a mercenary, because you and I are both mercenaries. Ha 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 ha. And I don't know that he's my dad. That was the other thing that really annoyed the crap out of me, right? Because you don't get told this. You just get told, you get woken up and he's like, well, we did well in the mercenary fight we just did because we're mercenaries. Now we're going to have to go to that other place because I've just accepted a job because we're mercenaries. It's in the north and it's because of this. And he keeps explaining things that I would clearly know because I've clearly lived with this person and I'm working for them as their second in command of their mercenary troop. Okay, fine, that's just annoying. And then we encounter the major characters which are going to pull the plot in the direction of the actual plot. And they say, oh, who's this person? Is he your dad? And I thought, my character that I'm playing is kind of a straight-laced, tell-it-as-it-is person. This isn't my dad, because I don't think it is. And my options are, they're a stranger to me, they're a bandit, or that's my parent, right? And I was like, I'm not going to say they're a bandit, because I'm not the sort of person that's going to say a joke that might get someone shot with an arrow. or, you know, freak. We've literally just been attacked by bandits, and after the battle, I say, yeah, this guy's a bandit. That's not exactly a joke that's not got some level of risk. I'm not doing that one, and I'm not going to joke that they're my parent, because they're not my parent. So I said, this person's a stranger to me. I didn't want to say it, because I knew they were a friend of mine who I've been working with for years, but then it turned out it was my parent!
Yep.
And my dad disapproved of the fact that I disowned him. And I went, I didn't want to disown you, I just didn't... You literally never mentioned you were my parent! So that sort of got my back up a bit as well. And the clunky dialogue just got worse and worse about why I don't know anything. And it's all well and good when, you know, you get dropped into Final Fantasy X from a world that's very different, and they're like, you don't know anything? And they keep commenting and going, oh God, can you believe we have to explain this to this guy? Or some people who join a hidden, like, you know, Men in Black, you join a hidden organisation, and of course nobody bloody knows about it. Harry Potter needs everything explained to him because he doesn't know he's a wizard. Until someone turns up and goes, you're a wizard, Harry. What does that involve exactly? Well, let me tell you. And again, while he's being told, everyone keeps expressing disbelief he doesn't know about this sort of thing. And so the fact that he keeps expositioning me when I should know this sort of stuff was kind of annoying me. And then later on, it turned out that they were doing the Harry Potter thing, where apparently my dad has managed to raise me for 20 years. Again, weird plot stuff I know is going to turn up, which means I'm secretly a dragon, or I've appeared, or my dad is ageless, or I'm ageless, or who even fucking knows at this point. But there's going to be a weird nonsense. But right now, according to the plot as far as I know it, my dad has raised me for 20 years without mentioning that this is a religious continent. Like, I've literally never heard of the religion, and I'm just standing there like, Who's the goddess?
Who's the Pope?
What? Who's the Pope? I didn't know there was a Pope. It's like, oh my God, you're the most sheltered person that this is possible to be imagined, you know? And that was, I know it's going to be a plot reason why he kept everything from you, but I'm just sort of like, how? How do you keep not knowing what the capital is, or the fucking, like, if I had a 20-year-old person in front of... If I had a child who was 20 and I asked them who the head of the Catholic religion was, if they didn't say the Pope, I'd be kind of disappointed, you know? And if I said, what's the capital of the country we're in, and they didn't fucking know, if I said, are you aware of anything at all that isn't about how you stab that dude or how you move troops on a battlefield, I would be a bit... disappointed that they'd had such a terrible upbringing. And it was all my fault because I'm apparently their only fucking parent. So no, this was annoying me. So I was getting annoyed at the clunky dialogue. I was getting annoyed that they hadn't given a good reason why I was the idiot who doesn't know anything, unlike several games which have done it really well. And it wasn't an organic learning experience about the thing. I mean, hell, you had a little bloody cutscene which was, the land of Fodheim is divided into 3 major territories. In the north, you have the blue team. In the west, you have the red team. They also do the south. And in the east, the yellow team. Here are their likes, their dislikes. Here's how they run their countries. Here's the people who are in charge. And I'm like, thank you, narrator. Narrator managed to give me exposition. And because they're the frickin' narrator, it was fine. All you have to do is give the narrator the job of telling the audience what's going on, and I don't have to look like a prat in every cutscene when I'm like, what's that now? Who's that? What's that? I don't understand. And everyone has to explain who everybody is and what's going on. And I'm the professor! Are you kidding me? It's just annoying.
Yeah, you're the professor. You're supposed to teach people stuff, and they spend most of the time... talking about telling you stuff.
Yeah. And also... Every time I have a mission, it was, get your quest from your house leader, and then do it, and then report to your house leader. And I was like, who's the professor here?
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm pretty sure when I went to school and uni, the teacher didn't come in and just go, so who's the class rep? It was you. What am I doing today, class rep? And the class rep goes, I would like it if you could go and find me 10 different herbs, come back and show the class how to use them. Right, got it. I'll go and find that then. And then they go round, then they come back and go, so today's lesson, according to Jeff Class Rep, is that I'm going to teach you about these 10 frickin' herbs. No, it's just stupid.
I feel my
I was getting a bit annoyed at that.
Teacher hasn't been respected.
Exactly. The thing is, right, I looked at the back of the box where it said, you're the professor, and I thought, that's an interesting mechanic, that you are a professor of strategy and tactics, and that's why you're the strategist. that really worked. And again, my preconception that I was going to be an established teacher of strategy and tactics, and that's why when war broke out, I was immediately named the strategist of the group, unlike in Awakening, where you literally wake up in a field and a guy says, "Hey, I've just found you asleep in a field."
That's a very tactician-y thing to do.
It's just like, do you want to come with us? Oh, look, bandits! And then you sort of go, hey, maybe if you go over there and stab the dude, that'd be a good thing. And he goes, oh my god, I've never heard tactics such as these. You're going to be the tactician of my entire kingdom from now on.
That's pretty much what he said.
What? No, so I was hoping you were going to be a pre-established professor of tactics, and therefore it made perfect sense why A, you had students, and then B, you have a position of strategist in the army that you're leading. But no, you're just some random dude who are, found in the wild fighting bandits, and they go, hey, we're all really impressed about the way you fought those bandits. Do you want to, say, join our kingdom, join our army? And then someone just goes, no, I want you to be a professor at my school. Okay, I'm like 20, and as much as you keep going on about how amazing I am, I can see my stats, and I can see my students' stats, and my stats are all E's, and their stats are all E's. And it feels weird to me that as a person who's got no skill in, I think it's axes, I'm teaching people about how to use axes. And I'm just I'm adding the dialogue in my head, but the teacher keeps walking over and goes, have you tried burying it up to the hilt in that guy's face? No, Professor, I didn't think of burying my axe up to the hilt in that guy's face. I will totally do that from now on. Thank you, Professor. I just feel like I should have better stats than my students in the things that I am trying to teach them. Because if I was learning and I went to my class and it was just like, today we're going to be learning about this level. Yeah, today we're going to be learning history. We're going to learn about the Wars of the Roses. So now I'm going to read chapters 1 through 3 of this book. You all read chapters 1 through 3. And then I guess I'll tell you what they said once I have read them.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be particularly impressed with your professor, would you?
This is the thing, because it tells me, they've done both things wrong. Like, in Final Fantasy VII, Cloud was the same level as everybody else, but they made him seem like an experienced mercenary because all of the tutorial stuff is Cloud explaining stuff to everyone else. Yeah.
And that really works.
Or you could have done the opposite thing where, I guess kind of like Awakening, and I swear there are other ones of doing it, where you have a really powerful character who is the player character, but you actually don't get to use them because they're the professor and they're just telling people what to do, and it's only later on in the game you actually get access to your own character. I don't know any game that does that.
I would really like that. Because actually, if your character was just there, okay, so... Because the thing is, it's you have this thing of one of the early ones, so apart from the bandit fight, when you actually join... So you join the school and you're being given... put in charge of one of the classes. Also... Do you have to just, she's like, oh yeah, we needed a professor, so you seemed like you could be a professor. Random kid of guy we've just met.
A guy they know.
Who used to work for us.
Used to work for him, yeah.
No, guy who worked for us 20 years ago, who we've just found is still alive when we thought he was dead, and now we've basically conscripted against his will. Oh yeah, you're now a professor. And I'm like, you weren't even there. You've been told I'm his child, and I was in a fight with bandits where I acquitted myself quite well, and you've made me a professor. Okay, weird, but whatever. Who are the other two professors? Well, there's me. I've been studying runes all my life. I'm reasonably well-aged professor, and I know pretty much all there is to know about runes and how crests work and all the magic stuff about bloodlines and all of that. And I'm like, yeah, seems legit. What about you? Well, I am also someone who's studied all of, healing. I'm all about magic and faith and all of the stuff in the infirmary and everything. And I'm like, yeah, you also seem totally legit here as a professor, even if your personality's not quite professory. What about me? Well, yeah, also, I appear to be starting mid-year because everybody is established, right? Everybody's in their own classes. They're all established. They all know each other. They've all clearly got a relationship and they've all clearly understand how the school works. I'm not here on day one, term one. So why is it that I am being asked which of them I want to be in charge of? Surely, if you've got a vacancy, That's because somebody's left.
I don't know.
Or you couldn't recruit someone.
They all know each other because they're all part of like the same clique, aren't they? They're all
yeah, but they all
and
understand how the
nobles.
school works, and also they're not all they're not all joining today because they're not all in this. I mean, also, how does this school work when
Well, it's an officer academy? That's why everyone's at different ages and everything.
Yeah,
I think
it's
that's
just,
all right. I think it's understandable. It does seem weird though, when they go, "Oh, we need you to fulfill one space," and they go, "That means you get a choice of which class." It's like, no, if you've just got the one space for me to fill that you desperately need to fill, you should have had it all already planted out. It seems weird why I get the choice of who I do like teaching for.
I mean, the thing is, I think one line that could have fixed it, which I don't think was in it, and if it is, I absolutely apologise to the makers, but one line that could have fixed it is when you encounter the 3 leaders of the 3 factions, if they said, "We are on our way to the school," right? If we are going to the school...
Are they not even on their way? Have they not even... Are they not...
No, they're literally not on their way. They're out doing exercises, right?
Okay,
This is the thing. They said, okay, we were at the school as part of classes and we were out doing exercises with the knights protecting us. And then the knights ended up in a bandit fight because we got attacked. And actually, we didn't realise some of the bandits had slipped round the back and they attacked us. So we ran away because we were outnumbered. And we've run away to your village, which is where you're staying at, mercenary people. And then you've helped us fight them off, right? Mm-hmm. And that's fine-ish. But it means that they're already in the school. They're already established as being in the school, because otherwise, how could they be on a school trip? I mean, if they were going to the school, if it was just a case of the knights are escorting us to the school, and then you had an opening ceremony cutscene of some sort, I'd have had no issue with it.
But it seems not. It does seem that they've been there for a while.
It does seem like they already go to the school. But there's also just a thing of, if you're absolutely right though, if I'm the professor, I should start with C rank in most things or thereabouts. And I shouldn't be given control until there is an actual legitimate fight, right? Because the first fight that you do after the bandit thing is a mock battle. And that mock battle is between all 3 of the houses. Why is it in the teachers as well?
Yeah,
why is the teacher fighting in the battle?
Well,
the teacher giving the strategies and the orders is
that's
fine.
That's the central character, and they want you to raise the central character to use. But it makes no sense in context of the story, does it? Yeah.
No, it really doesn't, and it's just a bit stupid that you're like, okay, students, you have to fight your teachers who are all controlling another group of students. It's just a bit weird. But then, like, you get told, oh, okay, we've found some bandits, and the knights have basically surrounded them in this bottleneck, so that your students will be able to experience a real fight,
Jesus,
and the
that
bandits
sounds
can all
so
be killed
sadistic.
by it. Yeah, no, that's literally the second fight. The second fight is that you're the knights there have been bandits who've done the bandits that attacked you in the first prologue have been found, cornered, bottlenecked in this valley, and then you are tasked with going and murdering all of them. Because it isn't a fight if they're all trapped in a valley. It's murder. It's not really a warfare situation.
Yeah, it is like, you've got to get your students the taste of human blood, get out there and kill people.
Just go and kill all those people, and you're going to be quite motivated to kill them, because I suppose they're the bandits that tried to kill you in the prologue. And you kind of go, well, yeah, I'm motivated to defend myself when they're trying to kill me, but when they're, trapped in a valley surrounded by a much larger force, and I'm sure most of them would surrender if you offered them prison sentences rather than execution, that's different. But anyway, point is, at that point as well, you shouldn't need to be in the battle. You shouldn't, because you're there directing them, and that's sort of fine. And again, most of these ones, early game, you shouldn't need to be in the battle. And having you with higher stats would be fine. If you didn't start off as common at level 1, if you started off as, like, actually a job role in a beginner class at level 5 or 10, right? And they gave you access to your character when you actually found a reasonable reason to do so. Because, again, there's a later battle where, after you've done legitimate battles that you weren't expecting to be involved in, there is a battle where your school gets attacked and no one was expecting it. And if the professor was just like, nah, I'm going to hang back and tell you what to do, that doesn't make sense. But actually, it's perfectly reasonable for the professor to come in and fight then, and that could be the first fight you actually have access to them. And having that professor slightly better than all the people, but then actually, once you get away from my specialties, I shouldn't be able to be being your, like, tutor about this thing or that thing. And that's perfectly reasonable. But the fact that we all start at level 1, and we all start as commoners or nobles, and we all start at rank E, is kind of stupid.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a bit annoying. You know?
Absolutely.
Ugh.
Like, yeah, it is dumb that, like, you've got to find some reason why these people respect them. Even if their stats are low, have them do something miraculous. There's going to be this whole bloodline, you're the Mark of Destiny person anyway, so why not just, like...
Yeah, no, you do have the Mark of Destiny.
Yeah, you do, so
but
why
the thing
not just
is,
have them do
you
something cool?
Actually, if you'd done the Mark of Destiny thing in the first bit, and that's why they made you a professor, I actually wouldn't really mind, because, again, now we can move on to the fact that the thing in this game is crests. And oh my god, do they use the word crest a lot. Like, there's a whole cutscene where crests are explained, where it's every third word is just crest. Crest, 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 crest.
Who has the best teeth out of all of the 3 houses?
So, the thing about that, though, is that you are discovered to have, like, oh my god, the crest of the King of the Liberation, who's also called Nemesis, because he's the guy who fought all the demons and managed to save the world, and then got corrupted by his own power and had to be executed because he became a bit power mad, right? And as such, his crest hasn't been seen since, and the Sword of Amazing creation has not been used by anyone because we've never found someone with that crest and we've just locked it up, right? And then it's found that you've got that crest and you can use the Sword of Creation. Oh wow, that's fantastic. That's the reason you should be a fucking professor. Because the thing is, there's a whole plot line about how crests are genetic, but they're not always inherited. It's not a definite thing, right? And actually, one of my students is the heir to his house because he's got a minor version of the crest. He's not got a full version, he's got the minor version, but his elder brother had no crest whatsoever, and they disowned him.
Whoa.
Right? That's actually been the whole plot of the battle that I was fighting last month, right? Is that you disowned him because he had no crest. And actually, the families cling to power by having the crests, because the crests grant them special abilities and allow them to use the 10 god weapons, right? So actually, it vaguely makes sense why the people in power all have crests, and they're all really, really concerned with bloodlines. And if you were found to have the crest of the gods, you absolutely, within the story, would be a perfectly understandable candidate to be just promoted way beyond your capability based on your bloodline. And I would have thought that would be a really nice way of commenting on what a ridiculous genealogical bullshit this society runs on, right? But they don't, because they only find that out after you've already been a professor for a while. You've been a professor for like 2 months before they find this out. It might even be 3 or 4 months before they even realise that you've got the fucking I am destined to save the world crest. But you know, if someone has the destined to save the world crest and you make them professor, that's a legit thing to have done.
Yeah, especially since
even
this is a
if
holy
they're
order.
shit
It's
at
like
everything.
a religious order, isn't it? So they're like...
Yeah, it is. And that's the other thing, is it's a case of, she keeps saying things like, now that you're a member of the church, I hope you will equip yourself well and learn the names of the saints. I'm like, I'm a member of the church because apparently it comes with the job, but I could not tell you the name of the goddess we worship the minute I was in the job. I couldn't have told you the names of the saints. I don't know what we even believe in. I apparently don't even know fucking history of the continent. So it's just really weird when we have these conversations and the Archbishop keeps saying, as a member of the church, I hope you will not embarrass us during the ceremony. And it's like, I don't even understand the ceremony. I don't know what the ceremony's about, what is happening, why I'm even here. It's just kind of weird. But again, if they'd said, you have the bloodline crest and that's why we've promoted you beyond all sane reasoning. You know, that's why you are both younger than half your bloody students and most of them are better at the things that they are doing than you. Like, I am not qualified to instruct anyone at anything because my swordsman is now a better swordsman than me, and my main area is swordsmaning, right? I am focusing personally on swordsmaning and authority, and I have people in my class who are better than me at both those things. So it's just kind of like, really, I'm still going to be the professor, and unless you say it's because of the crest, it's just kind of silly.
Yeah.
And that's why it sort of annoyed me there. But again, the crest thing is fine. But I really hope they're going to comment on the fact that bloodline-based genealogy rule is stupid. I do.
Well,
because
any
it's
kind of
always
inherited
annoyed me.
position or inherited wealth. That's the thing. You could extend it to anything. 'Cause
exactly.
it's like an item that you get. So yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? Sort of like, oh, you've inherited this stuff, ergo you're important. It's almost like that would be really vital today to get a bit of art that talks about how inherited positions are bull.
Yeah, it might also be a really great commentary. But the thing is, it does work within the universe because
you actually do get superpowers.
You have the crests. It's like okay. So the thing is, a lot of the time in these sort of stuff. So Game of Thrones, recent example. If you don't know Game of Thrones, basic rundown of what I'm going to talk about is the fact that the Targaryens are in charge. The reason the Targaryens are in charge is because their bloodline allows them to be both immune to fire and talk to dragons. And when you have a war, the dude who can talk to dragons and have them fight for you is generally the dude that won the war.
Yeah, although...
Which means he's the one in charge.
They do a good job of subverting that. But yeah, that was the main reason why the Targaryens were in charge, is that they happened to have dragons, and dragons that were supremely loyal to them. So in the end, it's hard to beat that with an army.
Yeah, and this is the thing. There are several other examples of people who are in charge from bloodlines. There's a novel series that I've read where the royal family have a genetic trait which means that they can read minds. Not to the level of like reading direct thoughts, but they can read people's emotions and whether or not they're trustworthy or, dishonest. And this allowed them to both, firstly, know who to trust and to get into power fairly easily, but also to be a wise and benevolent ruler. Because, you rule the court, that whole traditional, you're the highest court in the land. So if anything's gone to dispute and is raised to you, you appear to be a fucking godlike genius, because it's just like, no, he's the guilty party, he's the one telling the truth. And you always turn out to be right. Yep. And absolutely, that bloodline is going to keep you in charge. That is going to really help. And so any time where you've got something that's a genetic thing that makes you predisposed to be generally better than a normal person, it does make sense to me why those are the people in charge and the royal family bloodline is kind of a deal, right? Mm-hmm. So it does make sense within the context of the universe. And actually, I just think it would have been a great thing to have done. But one of the things they are doing is pointing out how horrible the society ends up being, where everyone's just obsessed with not whether or not, you're the best archer in the universe. You could be the best archer in the country, and you will still not be considered the best archer, because Jeff, who is a medium archer, has a crest. That is literally half of the dialogue choices I'm having. People who don't have crests are often complaining that because they don't have a crest, they're not considered anything. There is also a person in my class who would have just loved to have been a commoner who joined the church and did what she could for the poor, but they did a quick check, found that she had a crest, and as such, she's in officer school. Just because you have a crest, of course, so you've got to be one of the leaders of society.
Ooh, yeah.
You've got a major crest. What the fuck? You can't be a commoner. We can't waste your potential.
Yep, got to ennoble you.
Yeah. Also, oh my god, her backstory. Oh my god, it was depressing. Because, her noble house...
Who is this, just so we know?
This is Mercedes. I was trying to avoid saying that because of...
That
they'd
be spoilers.
Yeah, no.
So.
Yeah. So her background was that she basically was a noble family, and then the father dies, right? And they're quite a poor family, and the mother, because it's a pretty chauvinistic society, although it doesn't appear to be, frankly, women are all fighting and being crest holders, because crest is more important than whether or not you're a man, which is admittedly quite nice. I do find it really annoying when there isn't a legit... You know, when people like to pretend that there was some sort of racial or gender or, you know, social equality, when you're like, no, things were pretty horrible in the past a lot of the time. So I'm glad there's a reason why people are just like, nope, yeah, we're basing this on crests rather than gender. Yep, seems legit.
Yeah.
But anyway.
The thing is like, sometimes people don't want to be reminded about that, and this isn't the past.
No, I'm fully aware. I'm fully aware that this isn't a historical game, and I quite like the fact that it's been like that.
Yeah, the other thing is, like, if it's there and you don't explore it, like if we're talking about Game of Thrones a bit earlier, at least Game of Thrones explores...
Oh, they explore it. Yeah, I like that.
Negative part of their patriarchy, and actually has... like, they're more patriarchal than, like, most patriarchal societies that we can equivocate them to because of, like, actual historical reasons in the past. Like, there was literally, like, a big old war where the winner just said, okay, we're going to be extra misogynist now. They literally had it written into law. Like, women cannot inherit stuff.
I would love if that was purely fiction.
Which is why everything's so different in Dawn. I don't want to we've gotten thrown off, but I do have to say, that's why everything's so different in Dawn.
We're not talking about
because Dawn never got involved in all that. Just saying.
Anyway, point I was saying, Crest, right? So yeah, Mercedes' family, for some reason the mother couldn't really support them. So the mother then remarried into a different family who was on the up, and married him. The minute she'd had a son, and they checked and this son had the crest, the guy disowned both Mercedes and his wife, who's Mercedes' mother, kicked them out of the castle and was just like, no, I'm keeping my male heir with the major crest of your house now. Fuck you. We've now got your crest in our bloodline. That was literally the reason I married you. Now you can fuck off. You have no use.
Oh, that's awful.
And so Mercedes and her mother were penniless, disowned nobles who then ended up being helped by the church.
And so, yeah, she was going to enter in the church and then, you've got a great crest.
And then they were just like, no, you've got a crest, therefore you have to go to officer school. And she said, I don't want to be here. I don't want to have to do this. I would much rather... Like, her little support conversation was basically just her saying, I try to help out with the poor and I try to do this and I try to basically do what I would have loved to have done, which is just to have, been a church... run a church in a small village and try to help the people of that village. It's just my thing. So yeah, I like the way they are exploring this, but I do think there's several times where I was just like, the plot could have been a little better tweaked with this. But the thing was, so I did play it and it was annoying me a lot of the ways of this sort of thing, but also a lot of the stuff, it was partially because it wasn't explaining things very well either. And it was just sort of like only explaining things a couple of times after it would have been useful. And there wasn't that, like, the tutorials were okay, but also you didn't really know what to go for or focus on or anything. And I felt a bit lost at first until I got my head around it. And then I discovered the main thing that really bothered me at the game. Once I got my head around it, it's that there are several things that you need to know for stuff that you can't know unless you're on that specific menu.
Ooh.
Right? So, if you're on someone's status, what you can do is you can view their skills, which shows you what they've got an aptitude for and what they haven't, right? So if you've got someone who's an aptitude for swords and lances, but not bows, and you've got another person who's got an aptitude for swords and bows, but not lances, you can think, ooh, I wonder what sort of classes I should move these guys towards. What should I start training them in? Because you do need to sort of work that out in advance if you're going to sort of aim for specific classes. Because classes unlock at levels. So at level 10, you get intermediary. At level 20, you get advanced. And at level 30, you get master classes, right? And if you want to be an A rank in the 3 or 4 things you need to unlock the master class, you kind of need to know a bit in advance, or you might want to know, hey, I want to be this for that class, So it sort of makes sense that you want to know what you want to be moving towards. You don't want to just sort of go, fuck it, I'll play to my strengths and hope that there's a class. Because also, you can only play to 2 strengths at a time, and most people have 4. Right? So if you're good at, so I've got a character who's good at swords, lances, riding, and flying. I need to know where I'm going to head her towards. And I had a look, and I was like, right, so at the intermediary level, she could either be a cavalier with lancers and riding, or lancers and flying to be a Pegasus Knight. There is no advanced Pegasus Knight class. The only advanced flying class uses axes. She's not good at axes, therefore she doesn't want to be a Wyvern Rider. Therefore, I want to switch her from Pegasus Knight at intermediary to Paladin at advanced, and then after that, there is like an ultimate Pegasus Knight at master level, so I'll switch her back to flying at that point. So I've got this plan in my head, but the problem is, so when you are looking at their status, you can see their pluses and minuses at their skills, and you can see what classes they have available. But to find out what the requirements of those classes are, you have to go to an entirely different menu. And therefore you have to basically memorize what the skills they have are to then look at the classes. Or you have to memorize the classes requirements and then go to look at the skills menu. And then the goals for their study, you have to set them 2 subjects to study. And like I say, you can only do 2 at a time. So you have to sort of either make... Because again, you can't look at what goals they're looking for at the same time as you're looking at what their skills are.
So it's just needlessly difficult to do everything. You have
When
to
you're
memorize
picking
or write
goals,
everything down.
Yeah. So I'm basically having to do this stupid fucking mantra. Whenever I want to do Ingrid, I have to sort of look at her skills page and then go... And then while I'm muttering under my breath while I'm going to 2 other different bloody menus... Swords, lances, riding, flying. Swords, lances, riding, flying. Swords, lances, riding, flying. Swords... And they're just doing that! It's a bloody irritant. There's not a nice sort of comprehensive thing. And I could write it down on my computer, but again, I was trying to do this with less spreadsheeting, considering how much spreadsheeting I did for the last 2 games. But, you know, it's just it just got a bit... It was annoyingly clunky, right?
Yeah. That's like basic UI 101, is when people have to make decisions, make sure that they have all the information they need in front of them.
Exactly.
It's like, I can understand not wanting to clutter your menus, but if there's something that you need to know before you make a decision, have it appear. Just have it sort of like you're picking their study, here are their stats while you pick that, would be like kind of vital.
The other thing that sort of bothered me a little as well was that you can do certain activities within your school when you've got free time, right? And so you can like go to choir practice and you can have dinner with a student, or you can go and train with a teacher, or you can go and like submit a student to go into a fighting tournament, things like that. And actually, you know, I don't mind that. I like the whole, you've got all these activities. But those activities, they don't really tell you what they do.
Do they not tell you?
And, well, you find out when you do them. You know? And actually, there's usually a mission or a plot or something that means you have to do each of them at least once. But because it's not written down anywhere, I'm having to try and remember. And there's like 7 of the different activities. And I was just like, right, okay, so cooking, if I cook with a student and make a meal, that won't help their motivation, but it will raise my support rank. If I go to lunch with them, then I will get my support rank up and I will increase their motivation. If I go to the choir with them, I will learn the skill, I will get more faith and I will get more authority, but I will not get motivation, but I will get support. If I then go to the other one, I will get a professor increase rank, but I won't get... It's like that. It's just not written down. It should just... I just really wish it would just be like, okay, if you go to the choir, you will get faith, authority, social, and professor rank up. If you go to the cooking, you will get stat bonuses, you'll get support, but you won't get motivation or professor points. If you have lunch with them, you won't get professor points, but you will get motivation. Things like that. You know, it's just really annoying to have to try and memorize everything. When actually...
You don't even need to say it. Just like have like a list of all those stats and like up arrows and non-up arrows.
Yeah,
or just
when you're selecting what...
It's just,
just a forecast or something would have been easy. But the other one is, like, I could write all this down, but that seems like a needless and irritant.
Well, especially since...
For me to sit down and write everything down for 10 minutes.
This isn't like a board game or like a tabletop RPG. This is a videos game.
Yeah.
This is videos game, and so it should assist us with stuff like that.
And the thing is also, the major problem with playing this a day after release is, of course, that, oh my god, the internet really wants you to think that they've got information, but
don't.
They're adding it in as fast as they can play it. So, like, I'm basically like, I looked at something and something was called like the 9 things we wanted to know about. We wish we knew about Fire Emblem before we started Three Houses.
Yeah, it's
literally empty. It's literally a placeholder page because they don't have 9 things. They don't know what they are that they wish they'd have known because they haven't fucking played it yet. There's literally a load of game journalists all sat down playing as quickly as fucking possible, making notes and then yelling at someone else in the other room to type them up and put them on the webpage. Because I was looking for help with Chapter 6 because, so Chapter 6, there's a moment where it said, if you do this, the month will end. I was on day 3. If the month ended then and there, I would have lost, like, 2 whole weeks of teaching and 4 events. And I was like, surely the time skip isn't just going to be 23 days because, of course, you found her on the 3rd, but actually we scripted it for the 30th. I was hoping it's going to be like Persona, where if you do the mission early, you can just do the rest of the month without the pressure of the mission, right? And I wanted to just Google to see if that was the case. And literally the guide goes up to Chapter 3 and Chapter 5. Chapter 6 is a text that isn't a hyperlink. You can't click it because they haven't played it yet because they're literally playing it at the same rate I am. And when I looked, I was looking for things you can do in the monastery and what each of those things do. And there were plenty of pages that told me that they were going to tell me, but they didn't because they don't know because they're all playing it. So yeah, that was another one where I was just getting a bit annoyed because all the things in the monastery that I was doing, I was either having to try and remember what they did and because they do like 3 or 4 things each, it was sort of annoying to me that it wasn't like I thought I was sure this put motivation up. No, it doesn't. Okay, fine, whatever. But yeah, so I know I'm making a lot of complaints, but as I say, it annoyed me a lot at first, and there's a lot of things that need sort of quick fixing, but I do really like the game once I got past all that
stuff, yeah.
But one of the last things, yeah. No, I was going to say one of the last things that did annoy me was there isn't an intermediary. There's a lot less classes, and there's quite a few not intermediary ones. And also, the game is, I don't know because again, there's no like stat sheets up or things online. But the game has basically told me that if you're in a more advanced class, you will get better stat ups. That is in the game's little help guide thing. Which means that it is absolutely abandon your class the minute you are a high enough level to go to the next one.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Which is what I've been doing, right? Because I don't want to level up while I'm in a lower class and get lower stats. So I've been immediately jumping up to the next one. And if someone gets to the right level to class up, because you can only class up by taking an exam, you can't do it mid-battle like you used to be able to, that person basically takes a back step and doesn't participate in the rest of the fight. Is how I've been playing it. And that's mostly been fine. But the thing is, I don't feel like there's enough classes. There certainly doesn't feel like as many as there used to be. Especially now, classes come in 4 tiers. You know, beginner, intermediary, advanced, and master. Because actually, there are only like 8 classes in each tier. Whereas before, there were only 2 tiers. There was basic and advanced, right? So actually, the fact that the hero is an advanced... You've got like, from Myrmidon, you could be a hero or a swordsmaster. Whereas in the old one, all 3 of those were advanced, and they were all equivalencies that would focus on different things. Heroes were tankier and had access to axes. Myrmidons were really high in like evasion, whereas swordsmen were really high in skill and had skills that hit multiple times and things like that. They all did different things, but now, because they've stretched out the number of tiers without increasing the number of classes, your options are basically pick a weapon and then that's 3 advances on that weapon. And then the 4th one is usually, but now you're on a horse.
The 4th one is everyone's final one is, I'm on a horse.
No, yeah, no. Of the 8 final classes, 6 of them are just the previous class, but now you're on a horse.
It does seem that way. Everyone's been saying how eventually inventory get left behind because you've got these quite big maps. So everyone eventually has to end up on a horse in order to compete and move as one.
Yeah, that's absolutely what I've been feeling as well. And that's not necessarily that bad a thing always, but it is just this thing of like, that you get as well, like, there's not anywhere near enough mixing of... Do you know what really bothered me? So when the basic class is either noble or commoner, and the basic class has access to no bonuses, but you have access to both weapons and magic. Now, I promoted up to a soldier because I was good at lances, but I'd also learned fire magic, and I'd found it quite useful to have my sword, my lancer, you know, occasionally when he couldn't reach the enemy, popping out the fire magic, or, oh, I'm up against a tank who my lance isn't going to pierce, I'll just pop out the fire magic. He wasn't great at magic, but it kind of was nice to have. As soon as I became a soldier, he's incapable of using magic. It's just annoying. But
that was
you should
always
be
the
able
annoying
to
thing
use
about
it.
the classes, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. Is that it? No, the thing is, when I'm a soldier, I can use lances, but you know I can also use swords. I can. You're not restricting me from using my sword, even though this is a lance-only class.
Oh, so you can still use
But you are restricted... Yes, but I can't use my magic.
That's weird.
For no fucking
Okay,
reason.
if you had another... If the soldier class was just for lances and excluded all else, I'd understand. But it's like, oh no, randomly you can use your sword as well, but now...
And your axe, and your fists.
Really?
My archer walks around punching people because it's actually quite useful. But on the other hand, can't use the magic that he's learnt because he's learnt frickin' lightning. I think he learnt thunder magic and he can't use it. But what he can do is put his bow down and punch a dude in the face.
Surreal.
Because that makes sense. And no, commoners and nobles can use magic. But then you promote into the next class, right? The next class after the beginner classes are... Do you want to use swords? Do you want to use lances? Or do you want to use axes, bows, and fists? That's the third one. That's literally one class, right? So it goes, do you want to be a swordsman? Do you want to be a lancer? Do you want to be one of the other 3 options for physical damage, including range? Or do you want to be a monk? Monks who learn both faith and black magic, right? But the monk is literally the only class that can cast magic.
Wow.
Which means that if you want to be a physical fighter with access to magic, you can't. The next one is intermediary. Intermediary, you get to the point where you can go, okay, right, now I can specialise a bit more. So instead of just one class for bows, axes and brawler, it's now spread. There's one of each. But on the other hand, I still can't use magic in any of those. Also, the mage is now split between... I can do magic or faith magic. Okay, fine. Black, you can split that at this point as well. But you still can't do magic as anything other than either a warlock or a frickin' priest. It's just, why can't I have a person who's good at physical abilities but also can heal? Good at physical abilities but also can pop a lightning magic out when he needs to. And I looked through and actually... There aren't any. You just get to the end and you're either a magic class or a physical class. And I don't understand why you can't do both. And also, I didn't see, I can't remember because I haven't memorised all of them, but I didn't see any classes until master level who could do... Actually, I don't even remember if there was any at master level who could do both magic and physical.
Ooh,
it looked like it was one or the other the whole way through. Yeah. And it's just really...
That's fun.
Because actually...
the old class that can do both.
Well, this is the thing. The advanced version of Pegasus Knight in the previous games, you can either go full-on hardcore, I am a lancer, hear me lance, and I think you can also wield one of the other physical weapons as well. Or it might have been bows. No, that was it. It was lances and bows is one route, and the other route was lances and staves, so you can heal. So you either end up being a flying healer with a spear or a flying bow user with a spear. And that were your 2 options. But now... It doesn't look like that's the case. It looks like you have to just be either mage or not mage. And I just think that's a bit of a problem as well. So, like I say, I find a lot of it getting a bit like, oh, just a quick change, just one more thing, and that'd be great. But And I know I've moaned about it almost the entire time we've been talking, but the thing is, everything that's good about it can be summed up as, it's a Fire Emblem game.
So it's still just basic Fire Emblem goodness.
Well, the thing is, it's a good Fire Emblem game. The stats aren't fucked up. The classes really work. You're getting a reasonable amount of people. The characters are, in my class at least, half decent. And it all sort of works quite well. The thing that bothers me a bit, though, is the school stuff. Now, every month you can explore on your off days the school. And every month there are different items dropped in various places. That means that every fucking month I have to scour the school top to bottom. And this is the bit I mentioned earlier about the tedium.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want to have to look through 20 fucking dormitories because sometimes they have items in, but one will have an item in, maybe two every month. And you have to look at every single bloody one. And I'm just like, no, I don't want to have to keep looking every time because it's boring. It takes like an hour and a half every month for me to scour the whole school, find all the items, return the lost ones to all the relevant people, and find every bonus and do all the little things. It's just like, I said yesterday to my wife that the major problem is I want to be playing the battles and then I want to be doing the off-time admin. And usually in Fire Emblem, that's quite balanced. You're doing your admin, you're moving your weapons around, you might be promoting classes, or you're deciding who's going to be doing what specialty, and then you go back to the battles. In this, there is that, but there's also this huge swathe of the game which is not anywhere near the interesting of Persona. Because with Persona, you're either grinding in the dungeons or doing the bosses and the fights and everything, or you're doing the social side during the day, and both are great. Both are fantastic, and you're not usually doing one long enough before you switch to the other to get bored of it, right? And that's the beauty of the Persona games. Whereas with this, you are totally in the school, faffing and doing admin way past the point of tedium to the point where you actually just want to go and have a Fire Emblem battle. Which, you know, I do a Fire Emblem battle once a month, and that is about an hour's battle for every hour and a half worth of admin, 45 minutes of cutscenes, and about half an hour of choosing your people's abilities and learning tasks and everything. And that does sort of just grates on you quite a bit. But, yeah.
So, we've gone about 20 minutes now over time.
Oh, but I was going to talk about the good things
Well,
now.
I'll tell you what, when you've played more, you can tell us about the good things, and hopefully you'll have at least done one route, so you can tell us about everything. So until...
to be fair, I want to talk about all the other characters, because there's so many of them now, but also there's a lot of them that are really good, and a lot of them that are horrible. And there's some of them that you think are good, and then you turn out that they're not good. Because there was one of them, so I thought, oh, I quite like Ingrid. Ingrid's quite nice. She's the Pegasus Knight / Cavalier that I've been talking about. And then I discovered in one of her cutscenes that she's a big old racist. And then I had a look.
Just like in real life.
Literally in her dislikes, there's one of her dislikes is the people of this nation.
Jesus Christ.
This one specific nation. It's literally listed in her dislikes. I'm fully aware there's a plot reason why she doesn't like them. I'm fully aware that there's this and that and the other. But the fact that she's a racist and is just constantly being a big racist, it really kind of makes me feel uncomfortable, and I'm just sort of going, I don't like her now. I don't really feel like I can enjoy playing this character or having this character around who's a big racist. And it's really bothering me.
And I'm a bit tired of, even if you do spend time helping her get over it, I'm a bit tired of us giving all of the time and focus on racists overcoming their racism rather than the victims of racism overcoming the pain of the racism inflicted upon them.
That's the thing. I would much rather hang out with my student who is suffering for years all of this racism. And I've been hanging out with him because I like him. He's great. And then whenever I hang out with her, she's kind of a bitch about him and is all being racist. And I'm kind of just going, I know my support conversation will probably help you get over your racism and learn to think that the people who did the horrible thing were from the country does not mean everyone from the country is going to do the horrible thing. Because that's basically the lesson she's going to learn. She's going to learn that, say, if a French person punches me, that does not mean all French people will punch me and therefore I hate all of them. It means that I met one French person who was a dick, probably irregardless of where they were born and raised. Right? That's the situation at hand. That's what she's got to learn. And it's kind of a childish lesson for me to be teaching a 19-year-old. So yeah, that means I'm sort of... But no, if you're going to join the blue team, be a woman. Plenty of picks.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely talk about that next episode. In that the blue team, I had a look through them before we started talking, do look like a lot of sexy dudes. And sadly, that is also the thing I have to comment on, is that for men loving men, there is not a lot of choices in this game.
There is one bisexual character.
There's one bisexual dude who will only go out with the main character.
Whereas there are 4 bisexual women,
which is nice.
Many of whom are awesome.
Yeah, they are awesome.
No, I'm very much happy about the increase in the bisexuality numbers. I just kind of feel like if we're going to stop having the one token lesbian and the one token gay character... Although actually, no, they were both bi, weren't they? Or was one of them gay and one of them bi?
No, they were both bi in Fates, if you're talking about...
Alright, both bi. Yeah. Again, I liked the fact that you look at Dragon Age. Dragon Age started off having all this controversy because it had bi characters and straight characters. And then eventually in Dragon Age Inquisition, they finally had a character who was just full-on gay.
Yeah, 2 full-on gay characters.
And that's also fine. Yeah, that's great. As well as several bi characters. And that's also great. And then you just kind of go, look, if you're going to introduce all these bi characters, that's fine. I wouldn't mind if you'd put a gay character or 2 in as well. That'd be nice. But the fact is, 4 women are okay with dating women, but only 1 man will date a man.
And
that's just
apparently in the current epilogue, it says that you got married to someone else anyway, which is... bullshit.
Really?
Yeah. I don't mind spoiling that for you because
that is
nasty, just in case you ended up accidentally doing that route. I don't want you to be disappointed.
As far as I remember, I don't like the character that's the same-sex male route, though. Like, I can't remember what team he was in. I think he's a golden deer. Hold on.
Wouldn't surprise me.
This is important enough that I'm Googling
go ahead.
it.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me because, the golden deer does look like, hey, we're the bisexual team.
Yeah, bisexual characters in 3 houses. Come on, stupid bloody internet. Right, yeah. Okay, so... same-sex relationship. It is Lindhart of the Black Eagles.
So it's Black Eagles who has the one.
For
men.
Yeah, male. The only male one is Lindhart of the Black Eagles,
men.
Whereas, that's the only men-loving men one. And which one was Lindhart? Lindhart of the Black Eagles is... oh, God, yeah, he's shit.
Okay, now that you've said that...
I remember thinking that. Now, I remember thinking that. Because I actually looked up who was bisexual. I looked up who was bisexual beforehand just to make sure I knew not to get my hopes up with certain people.
I'm just looking at his face. He's alright, but yeah.
It's not about his face. It's about his personality.
I wouldn't surprise me, yeah. But then...
he's a shit.
I don't mind then because for Black Eagles, I'm all in for Eldgard.
Should we do some quick shipping there? Alright, so just before we go, Black Eagles, I'm all in for Eldgard as well. Although actually, I rather find Bernadetta kind of cute, as is current. I also actually really like Dorothea. To be fair, I think going female Black Eagles, there are a lot of nice ladies in Black Eagles, but I don't know them that well because I've not spent much time with them. Petra's alright, although I don't like the fact that they've not let her speak English properly because she's a foreigner.
What?
And other foreigners can speak English perfectly well. Like the foreigner of the Blue Lions doesn't speak in disjointed English that doesn't make proper sense or have real sentences. Caspar's a bit of a dick. So male, who would I go for as a man? Ferdinand probably, because I don't like Lindhart and I don't like Caspar and I really don't like Hubert. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm going to go for Ferdinand, and the women is difficult. Eldgard possibly, but I do like Dorothea and I do like Bernadetta.
Well, I think Eldgard's the only one
do like
you
Petra.
can romance as a lady. I
Oh yeah, but I'm going to be
Yeah.
a male when I go to Black
I do
Eagles.
like Petra. If I had to pick out of all of them and I'd played as a guy, I'd go with Petra.
You'd pick Petra.
Petra seems cool.
Yeah, I like Petra a lot, but I'd like to say my only problem with Petra is just the fact they gave her disjointed English. I am all in with Dimitri and the Blue Lions. I am just so deep into Dimitri
is totally
that it's
your
not
type,
even
so
funny.
that's not surprising.
He is totally my type. He is the tortured, I did a bad thing, but it was a pragmatic thing I had to do, and now I'm trying to make the world a better place, but I'm doing it in a pragmatic way that involves bloodshed. I'm like, this is exactly my type! Also, he wears black armor, blue capes, and blonde hair. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I love him. But I've been spending my entire time just trying to get him to marry me. Dadu I like, except everything about him I really like. Personality, appearance. That bloody earring is the only thing that makes him a deal.
Earring.
It's a deal breaker. It's a deal breaker earring.
Can you? I'll marry you, but can you please get rid of that giant fucking earring?
Oh, I know. Felix, right? Felix. So my wife was like, Felix, surely you want to go for him as an option. No, Felix is alright, and I quite like the personality, but he's such a dick to everyone! And I'm fully aware that it's like one of those Sundere S rank is going to be that, your A rank's going to be that he actually cares, he's just being a dick, but no, he's just really horrible to everyone! And the more supports of his I do, the more I'm like, no, he's just too openly nasty for me to like him. Mercedes I can't get on board with because she's so religious it physically hurts. And both in the real world, where I'm not really comfortable with very religious people and being in a relationship with them, I have tried it. It's not for me. And in the world of the game, where I'm almost certain that the religion is going to turn out to be evil, I'm not going to go on board with her. Ash, you know what? I could do without the freckles, but I quite like Ash. Although he's naive as shit, which is a bit annoying. I liked Annette a lot until she went all girly with Ingrid. Her support with Ingrid was, hey, you know how you're basically concentrating on the night? How much makeup and stuff do you use? And Ingrid goes, just basic hygiene is fine. I don't need to look pretty. I'm concentrating on being a knight. And then Annette's just like, no, you should be like the prettiest knight. Then you'd be the knight everyone would look up to. And I'm like, don't push makeup on people who don't want it. Makeup is fine if you choose it, but I have I hate the fact that society tells women they have to wear it. It's just ridiculous. Sylvain is all about womanizing, not my thing. Moving on. Ingrid, I was totally on board with Ingrid until she was all racist.
Ingrid turned
and then
all
I moved on with my life. So I would say, unfortunately, there are no... I thought I liked the three women, but actually I'd have to go with Annette out of those. So Dimitri and Annette would be mine. What was your Blue Lion choice?
Really, I guess other than Dimitri, it would actually, I'd go with Felix. Yeah, Felix is the only character I like the look of. Don't like anyone else.
No, female. You've got to pick a male and a female.
None of the ladies are really for me, really.
Not even the lesser of the three evils.
Nah.
Golden Deer, I actually really want to get to know them better because... just quickly going through the men, though. Don't like Ignace. Don't like him at all. He annoys me. Raphael, again, is like, why do we have to think about things or do anything? We should just have big muscles and punch things. I'm like, no, moving on. Lorenz is obsessed with how noble and he is, and he's just such a dick. So I'm basically down to Claude, who isn't really my type, but I have to go with just by process of elimination.
Claude is 100% my type, so if I had to pick a guy, yeah.
No, we looked at the box together, and Holly just said, that's Louise's pick, immediately pointing to Claude, and I was like, yeah, I know, it's not a difficult choice,
if I had to pick out of the three houses, I'm picking Eldegard, but yeah. Golden Deer, Claude.
No, we were picking one man and one woman. That was what we were doing. So, yeah, women-wise in Golden Deer, don't really care for Hilda. She's a bit irritating and sweet, obsessed.
It's kind of interesting that she's the bodyguard for Claude. Yeah, she's Claude's bodyguard.
When you don't spend that much time with them, you don't.
You don't know. You'll know that probably when you do the Golden Deer one. But you know how Dimitri has a bodyguard who owes Dimitri his life. Yeah, it's the same for all of them. And
Oh yeah, no, I'm fully aware that there's two in every group that isn't recruitable. It's always the main one and their right-hand person.
Yeah, Hilda is Claude's right-hand person, and it is kind of interesting how, like, the two other ones have got, I've got this stalwart gentleman who watches out for me, and Claude's like, I got this Vocaloid character.
Yeah. Lucia, I don't know her well enough, but whenever I've spoken to her, she's either been a horrible person or just been angry, so I don't really care for that. I didn't think I liked Marianne, but the more I find out, the more I'm like, ooh, you're mysterious, and you've got sunken eyes, and you look haunted, and I'm sort of going, I don't know what her deal is, but I want to know. I am intrigued. So until I find out whether Marianne's deal is worth dealing with or not, I'm going with Leonie, because Leonie is the tomboy who wants to prove that the men can suck it.
I certainly do like the look of Leonie. Leonie, if you play as a guy and you play on one of the other two houses, there's generally one character who will come up and ask you, and it's always of the opposite gender to the gender that you pick as your main character. So if you play as a guy, Leon generally comes to you and saying, hey, I might like to swap over to your one, without you having to gain levels in what I want. But if you want to recruit her as a lady then, from another house, you need to be good at archery and lances. But she's pretty cool, and she'd be easily my pick from the golden. But there is another area. So, there's the knights.
I'm not going into that because I don't want to look at spoilers.
So you don't want to look at spoilers.
I'm not going to go into that.
I just want to say I'm kind of irritated that an obvious character is not bisexual.
You mean Shamir?
No, Catherine.
Oh, I don't care for Catherine. I don't like her.
I love Catherine.
I did at first when... I think her appearance is cool. I don't really like her weapon. I don't really like her personality. She's mostly just annoying me.
Yeah, because she keeps on breaking all of your stuff.
As soon as Shamir came on the scene, I was just like, you, in my house, now.
But there is
No,
Rhea.
Shamir is 100% the one.
Though. Rhea's bisexual and seems pretty cool.
Oh, I don't know, because I'm expecting her to be evil at some point, and she's annoying me, and I frankly think she can go and die in a fire from her bullshit.
She's the Pope. She's got to talk bullshit.
I don't like the Pope. The Pope in Fire Emblem, I'm not going to say anything that could be misconstrued in real life. No, the Pope in Fire Emblem can jump out the bloody window and plummet to her death like the Pope from Fire Emblem Awakening did, for all I care. Let's have an awakening repeat. Throw her off the balcony.
Oh, that's a pity, because I have someone I'm following on Twitter called Frogspians, and she's all about main character and Rhea, and just having all the other characters come up to her and go, Professor, are you telling me you fucked the Pope? And the Professor's just like, You did it?
I do find it interesting, though, that they got rid of any pairing up and intermarrying of all of the
just the main
characters you've got.
And I think...
It's literally just... The main character is just like... So the main character just walks in and goes, which of my students should I prey on?
Yeah, that's why it only happens after a time skip. But...
Yeah, I'm also aware that only happens as well because of the fact that you're the same age as them.
The thing about that is, I think that's good because, one, it lets you focus and not get sidetracked, which is what happened in Fates, like endlessly pairing people off, and lets people have more like, hey, you know, people can be friends. They don't have to automatically like jump to being lovers or bullshit stuff. And yeah, it also lets you evade the whole thing of like, this character will be bisexual, but only bisexual with the main character because I, as the writer, don't get people who aren't like me. So I can't...
Yeah, that's always... I don't know, there is something... The other one that always annoyed me as well, like, fair enough the main character can get with everyone because the main character is kind of a blank slate and very malleable. But the thing is, when you were pairing people up, frankly, some people shouldn't get an S rank.
Some people shouldn't.
They just shouldn't. They just shouldn't be able to get married. You shouldn't be able to marry, like, the old man who's really creepy and a horrible person to Lissa. Yep. Like, the little girl. It's just weird. Yeah. To say, hey, no, in the future, they totally, get it on and have kids and it's all not creepy. Like, no, it's always creepy. But also, not even that, just the personality compatibility. There are just some people where it's just... I'm sorry, but you're basically picking randoms is the main thing. Because imagine your school class of about 30 people and just say, right, is every guy here going to be acceptably into every girl here enough to get to the point of marriage and vice versa?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just not. If you take a standard class of 30 people, you might find 1 or 2 compatible couples that would get to marriage. You'd find a lot more compatible couples that would get to breakups or year or so relationships. You know, I can certainly say that, you know, most of them would be willing to fuck, perhaps, but certainly not get to the point of making a lifelong commitment, which is going to result in a successful relationship and children. That's not kind of how people work. Mm-hmm. Bad Fire Emblem.
Absolutely.
Wow, we got sidetracked.
Yes, we did.
Sorry.
But yeah, so with that, we can say, let's hope Hugh has a better time.
I'm having a great time.
Well, no.
I really
is
like it.
having a good time when you're like pairing people off in the post game with the second half. Let's see how you deal with the second half of the game.
Oh.
And we'll see you all next time on the LHC.